Shreveport, Louisiana, May 22, 1934, 9:15 a.m. Bonnie Parker counts stolen money while Clyde Barrow cleans his weapons in their hideout. The most wanted lovers in America have 24 hours left to live. Tomorrow morning, someone they trust will lead them into the most famous ambush in criminal history. But tonight, they still believe they can escape. This is the story of Bonnie and Clyde's final day alive. The tourist cabin outside Shreveport feels like a tomb. Bonnie Parker sits on the edge of the bed, counting stolen bills with trembling fingers. At 23, she weighs barely 90 pounds after 2 years of constant running. Her body shows the devastating toll of life as America's most hunted fugitive. The money represents their latest scores across Texas and Oklahoma. Banks in Lancaster and Everly that netted them thousands, but brought federal law enforcement down on their heads. Their crime spree has left 13 people dead, including 9 law enforcement officers. Frank Hamer has been tracking them for 102 days, building a network of informants across multiple states. Clyde moves around the room like a caged animal, checking every window and shadow. At 25, he has killed 12 people and developed the reflexes of a man who knows death stalks him. He cleans his weapons with obsessive precision, the ritual that keeps his hands steady. The Eastham prison experience broke something fundamental inside him. Their stolen Ford V8 sits outside, loaded with weapons and ammunition. The car has become their mobile fortress, modified for high-speed escapes and firefights. Bonnie watches rain streak down the glass while planning their next move. They make their plans together, 2 minds working as one against a world that wants them dead. Whatever comes next, they'll face it as partners bound by love and violence. The backroads of Louisiana blur past their windows as they drive toward the most dangerous thing they can do. Federal agents could be hiding behind any car. Bounty hunters might lurk in any crowd. The FBI has established a special task force dedicated to their capture. They're driving to see Bonnie's mother in a prearranged meeting near the Louisiana border. The isolation has become unbearable, and they need human contact that doesn't end in gunfire. Family visits represent their greatest vulnerability to law enforcement surveillance. Emma Parker greets them with fear in her eyes, looking at her skeletal daughter like she's seeing a stranger. The waitress who once dreamed of Hollywood fame has been replaced by someone hardened by violence. Clyde appears hollow to his family, like the boy they knew has vanished into someone capable of extraordinary violence. The conversation feels strained and desperate. Emma begs Bonnie to surrender, to end this madness before it destroys what's left of their family. But Bonnie knows they've crossed too many lines to ever face anything but the electric chair. When they leave, Emma Parker cries for the daughter she's lost to violence and crime. Bonnie doesn't look back because she can't bear to see her mother's tears. Federal surveillance teams document every detail for their growing files. Gibbsland, Louisiana, feels like the edge of existence, a forgotten town where desperate people make desperate choices. Bonnie buys cigarettes while Clyde watches the store owner's eyes for signs of recognition. Their faces stare back from wanted posters offering $16,000 for their capture. Sheriff Henderson Jordan has been coordinating with federal agents for weeks. The Bayonville Parish lawman knows the Methvin family personally and understands their connection to the fugitive couple. Intelligence reports suggest regular visits to check on Henry's relatives. Bonnie flips through a movie magazine, still dreaming of Hollywood fame. She wants to see her name in lights instead of on wanted posters. Clyde tells her they'll make movies about them someday, his voice carrying certainty about their coming immortality. They drive through darkness toward Henry Methvin's family, their last remaining ally. Henry escaped with them from Eastham Prison in January, becoming their most trusted gang member. But something feels wrong tonight as they navigate the back roads. What they don't know is that Henry has been separated from them in Shreveport. Federal agents have him in custody, and his father, Ivan, is making a deal to save his son's life. Sleep won't come anymore. Bonnie lies in Clyde's arms, thinking about how much she admires his fearlessness. She would follow him anywhere, face any danger, fight any enemy as long as they're together. Their bond has been forged through shared violence and constant betrayal. They drive to a creek to wash away the grime of constant running. Bonnie applies lipstick that's red as the blood they've spilled and the violence that defines their existence. At a roadside diner, they order hamburgers and coffee from a waitress who doesn't recognize them. For 30 minutes, they pretend to be normal young lovers instead of outlaws waiting to meet their end. The brief normalcy feels precious after years of constant danger. Radio reports describe the massive manhunt closing in around them. Multiple state police forces coordinate with federal agents using new communication technology. The net grows tighter with each passing hour. Bonnie thinks about the poem she wrote called The Story of Bonnie and Clyde. In it, she predicted they would die together in a hail of bullets. Dawn breaks over Louisiana like Judgment Day. Bonnie wakes with dread pooling in her stomach, while today feels different than any other. Some primitive instinct warns her that their luck has run out. They're supposed to meet Henry Methvin at his father's farm, but Henry isn't where he should be. Ivan Methvin makes excuses that sound rehearsed while serving coffee with hands that shake from guilt. He claims Henry is running late from Shreveport, but his demeanor suggests something sinister. Federal agents have promised Ivan that his son will avoid the electric chair if he cooperates. The written agreement was signed by Texas officials just days ago. All Ivan has to do is lure Bonnie and Clyde into the perfect killing ground along Highway 154. Bonnie watches the old man and sees deception written in every gesture. He won't meet their eyes directly. His voice wavers when he speaks, and he keeps checking the window. They wait for hours while her anxiety grows. Clyde plays cards with hands that shake because they both sense the trap closing around them. Frank Hamer positions his 6-man posse along Highway 154. Texas Rangers and Dallas County deputies and Louisiana officers take their assigned positions. The final morning feels heavy with endings. Bonnie memorizes Clyde's face in the dawn light. Every line and scar she's learned to love. 4 years of shared danger have created an unbreakable bond. They stop for breakfast at a small cafe while reading newspapers that call them monsters. The headlines paint them as bloodthirsty killers who terrorize innocent people. But the waitress sees only a young couple sharing quiet conversation. The media coverage has reached fever pitch across the nation. Radio stations interrupt regular programming to report alleged sightings from coast to coast. They've become the most famous criminals in American history. Bonnie whispers their motto like a prayer against the darkness. Just you and me against the world. Clyde decides they need to make one more attempt to find Henry. Bonnie doesn't argue because she shares his loyalty to gang members. The ambush team has been in position since before dawn. Everything depends on Ivan Methvin playing his role perfectly. Highway 154 stretches ahead as Bonnie holds Clyde's hand during their final drive together. The morning sun feels warm on her face while Louisiana countryside rolls past. Pine trees line the road like silent witnesses to approaching history. Frank Hamer and his 5-man posse crouch in the bushes with weapons trained on the kill zone. No one has any intention of taking prisoners after years of bloodshed. Bonnie thinks about the future they'll never have together, the children they'll never raise in peace. Clyde focuses on the road ahead, calculating distances and escape routes out of habit. Radio communications confirm all units are in position. The trap represents months of careful planning and coordination. Ivan Methvin's truck sits broken down by the roadside at exactly the planned location. A familiar face appears to need help from passing motorists. The old man has positioned himself as bait in a carefully orchestrated ambush. Clyde slows the Ford while Bonnie reaches for the door handle, ready to help someone they consider family. Their greatest strength, loyalty to allies, becomes the weapon used to destroy them. Frank Hamer gives the signal. The gunfire erupts without warning. 167 bullets tear through their stolen Ford V8 in less than 2 minutes. The sound echoes across the Louisiana countryside like thunder. Bonnie and Clyde die instantly, their bodies riddled with bullets. They fall together at exactly 9:15 a.m. on May 23, 1934. 4 years of love ending in synchronized violence. Their love story becomes legendary before their bodies are cold. Radio stations across America interrupt programming to announce their deaths. Thousands gather at the ambush site within hours. Hollywood makes the movies Clyde predicted within years of their death. Musicians write songs celebrating their rebellion against authority. Their death car tours the country as a carnival attraction. People pay to see the physical evidence of their final moments. Frank Hamer becomes a hero to law enforcement but faces criticism for the excessive force used. Two broken children found each other in hell and chose shared danger over separate safety. They loved each other through complete chaos and died rather than face separation. The bullets that ended their crime spree began their transformation into American mythology. What do you think drove them to choose love over safety? Drop a comment and let us know.